Rain poured relentlessly over the suburban streets as students shuffled out of the school gates. Among them was Jason, a boy whose worn sneakers had become the target of ridicule for a group of bullies. One boy in particular, Brad, sneered and pointed, laughing so hard it echoed against the brick walls. Jason lowered his head, cheeks burning with humiliation. The laughter seemed endless, cutting deeper than the cold drizzle soaking his thin jacket. Just as Brad reached for one final taunt, a sleek black SUV rolled to the curb, and a tall, impeccably dressed man stepped out. Take a moment right now to like this video, comment, share it with others, and subscribe to Moral Avenue. Together, we can remind the world that appearances can deceive and kindness, patience, and integrity are often the strongest armor. Jason lived with his single mother in a small apartment a few blocks from school. Life was simple, sometimes too simple for the cruel eyes of others. His worn-out shoes, patched several times with duct tape, were the first thing people noticed. Brad, on the other hand, came from privilege, never missing a chance to assert superiority. He carried himself with arrogance, a perfect smile hiding a streak of cruelty. To him, anyone who didn't meet his standard of wealth or style was fair game. Jason tried to ignore the comments, pretending they didn't matter. But inside, the weight of daily judgment and whispered insults had begun to crush him. The teasing escalated. One afternoon, Jason spilled his lunch in the cafeteria, and Brad snapped photos, posting them online with captions meant to humiliate. The other students snickered in the background, some joining in, some just watching. At recess, Brad tripped Jason intentionally, sending him sprawling into the mud. The teachers were too busy, and the cafeteria staff barely glanced up. In those moments, Jason felt invisible, as if the world itself had conspired to remind him of his place low, powerless, forgotten. But today was different. The SUV that had pulled up to the school gate belonged to none other than the CEO of a major tech company, and he wasn't there for Brad or his entourage. The man's eyes softened as they met Jason's, and with a gentle smile, he waved him over. Turns out, Jason had helped this man's daughter with her coding project at a local library after school months earlier. The man never forgot the boy's brilliance, humility, and willingness to help, even when no one else noticed. Brad's jaw dropped as Jason climbed into the SUV, a warm, professional briefcase handed to him as if he were a young executive in the making. The man turned to the group of snickering students and simply said, "Character matters more than appearances. Never forget that." The irony was sharp, almost cruel in its perfection. Brad's laughter faded into a stunned silence, leaving only the sound of the rain and Jason's quiet, victorious smile. Jason's life was about to change in ways Brad could never imagine. A single act of kindness, the willingness to stay true to oneself, had opened doors that wealth and arrogance could never reach. Jason had been offered an internship with the tech company's youth program. Each day after school, he worked with professionals, learning skills that would set him on a path to success. But he never boasted. He stayed humble, grateful for every opportunity, and remained the same kind-hearted boy who helped others, even when nobody watched. Brad, meanwhile, continued to flaunt his status, unaware that his actions were being quietly observed not by teachers, but by someone who had a long memory for those who treated others poorly. Brad's jealousy grew. At first, he tried the old tactics, teasing Jason, spreading rumors, hoping to regain dominance. But this time, Jason didn't flinch. The boy who once cowered in the cafeteria had learned a quiet power, patience, knowledge, and the art of standing tall without fighting back. Brad's frustration turned to desperation. He sought allies, attempting to turn other students against Jason. But one by one, they began noticing Jason's genuine kindness and intelligence. Rumors of the CEO's praise and Jason's achievements started to circulate, shifting the school's social hierarchy. One afternoon, the school announced a student innovation fair, where students could present ideas and projects. Jason submitted a cutting-edge app he had been developing during his internship, a tool to help students from underprivileged backgrounds access educational resources. Brad had nothing to show but his usual arrogance and a half-baked project hastily thrown together. As judges evaluated the presentations, gasps filled the room when Jason's app was revealed. Not only was it ingenious, but it also carried a message of hope and equality. When the CEO, Jason's mentor, appeared unexpectedly to congratulate him on stage, Brad felt the sharp sting of humiliation. The boy he had mocked had risen above cruelty, turning talent and perseverance into undeniable success. Jason walked off the stage, eyes shining with pride, not from victory over Brad, but from the impact his work would have on countless students. Brad was left to reflect on his choices, realizing that arrogance and cruelty could never match the strength of humility and compassion. Jason froze. His mother had always told him his father left before he was born. She worked 2 jobs, sacrificed everything to raise him, and never spoke of the man who disappeared. The letter continued to be handwritten, emotional, and strangely familiar. It spoke of regret, of choices made in secret, and of a son who was never supposed to find out. But there was more to the letter that mentioned a connection between Jason's family and someone at school. The final line read, "If you want to know the truth, meet me tomorrow at the old park, 5 p.m. Jason's heart raced. Who could it be? Why now, when his life was finally going right? The next day I crawled by. Jason could barely focus in class. Brad, sitting 2 rows behind him, watched with a mix of resentment and curiosity. Ever since Jason's victory, Brad had been quieter, but inside, his envy still burned. After school, Jason went to the park. The sky was heavy with storm clouds, wind rustling through the trees. Minutes passed, then footsteps approached. Jason turned, and his heart nearly stopped. Standing before him was Brad's father, the CEO. Jason's mind spun. Why would he be here, he thought. The man's face was grave. He held a folded photo of a young woman, smiling, holding a baby. Jason's mother. The CEO took a deep breath. Jason, I didn't just see talent in you. I saw something familiar. Something I couldn't ignore. He handed Jason the photo. Tears welled in Jason's eyes. It was his mother holding a newborn standing beside the very man in front of him. Jason's voice broke. You're my father. The man nodded slowly. Your mother never told you. We made mistakes and choices that hurt us both. But when I met you again, I recognized you instantly. The way you think, your kindness, it's everything I hoped you'd become. Jason staggered back, overwhelmed. The man he had looked up to as a mentor was his real father, and the boy who had bullied him for years was his half-brother. The truth hit Jason like thunder. The world suddenly felt smaller, heavier. He wasn't sure whether to feel angry, betrayed, or relieved. Brad's father placed a trembling hand on his shoulder. You've suffered because of my absence, and I can't undo that. But I can promise you that your future will not be defined by our mistakes. Jason said nothing. He simply looked toward the stormy sky, tears mixing with the rain. That night, Brad's father called his son into the study. Brad's laughter faded when he saw Jason's photo on the desk. Brad, his father said quietly, there's something you need to know. The camera would fade out here, silence, tension, and the weight of truth settling in like fog over the park. The truth always finds a way, and sometimes, it's closer than you think. If this story shook you, make sure to subscribe to Moral Avenue, where we uncover the truth behind life's hidden lessons. Please take a moment to like this video, share it with friends, subscribe to Moral Avenue, and leave a comment below. Your support helps us continue spreading stories that inspire and heal. Before we end, I have one special request. Comment below what you would have done if you discovered your biggest enemy was actually your own brother. Thank you for watching Moral Avenue. Never judge someone by what you see. You never know what truth hides beneath.